So, hi everyone, and welcome to this special Farm Well Hub Spotlight session. I'm Amory Dorn, you're from Mellow Wellbeing and Nutrition Services, and your host for today. We are very excited to bring you phase two of the Farm Well Hub project, which is funded by the Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine. This phase is all about building capacity, so bringing real training, support, and connection to farmers and farm families across the country. We are especially delighted to be joined by our mental health service delivery partners, Suicide or Survive, or more commonly known as SOS. And with me today, we have two brilliant people, Councillor Liam Brazel, a champion of rural wellbeing and long-time SOS supporter, and Catherine Redmond, the National Programmes Coordinator with SOS. Thank you both for joining us today. You're both very, very welcome. Catherine, I'm going to start with you. Many listening may know what Suicide or Survive is, or they may not, also known as SOS. For those who don't, can you give us an overview of the work SOS does and your own role as National Programme Coordinator as well?
Absolutely, Anne-Marie. And look, massive congratulations on phase two. Suicide or Survive, SOS, we are delighted to be involved. So thanks for asking us to come on board, and to work in partnership, which, we're all about in Suicide or Survive is partnership. So
Yeah.
SOS, we're a small charity with a big reach, is what I'd always say, and a big heart. Um, we began in 2003 and formally became a charity, a mental health charity, in 2005.
Mm.
Um, we deliver, I suppose, why we came about really was to bridge a gap. So you have the helplines, you have the listening services, you have the counselling services. There was nothing in there within an educational focus.
Yeah.
So all our programs, we deliver programs, whether they're online or they're in person, all around the country. We'll go anywhere we're asked, and yeah, it's really to bridge that gap between, service delivery of GPs, counsellors, etc., and the crisis helplines. So, and really, I suppose, to, give people a toolbox, promote positive mental health, and to, I suppose, to look at that stigma that's around suicide. So really promoting suicide prevention, looking at that stigma around suicide, because, as much as we chip away and everybody does, it's still alive and kicking in Ireland.
For that, Catherine. I know we'll delve into a little bit more on the
Yeah.
actual specific programs that you deliver and the ones that we will
hmm
be very excitingly collaborating on and delivering into the farming community later in the conversation. So, Liam, you're up. Will you give us a little bit about yourself, Liam, and your background, both like from a farming and community perspective?
Thanks, Anne-Marie, yeah, and thanks, Catherine. Yeah, look at my name is Liam Breslin. I was born in a place called Kilwassendy in County Waterford. Look, I was born on a small family farm, and I suppose back in the 60s, I suppose a small family farm wasn't a viable place to be. Or I suppose like a lot of hard work there. Well, work wasn't hard, but it was done the hard way. Like when we go to school, like we had to milk cows by hand before we went to school there, and look at and then you go to school and maybe be late going to school. So look at I left school at the early age of about 12 years of age, and look at that time I suppose it was kind of a normal thing to do. But like my mother always said to me, look, Liam, look at you can't leave school. So I said, I'm leaving school and I'm not coming back, and that's it. She said, look, well, you're not staying home either. So anyway, I went off and I got a job. I worked in the local market in Dungarvan, and I gave 5 years in the local market, and then I went working with two farmer brothers, or Cowan brothers, they're neighbours of mine as well. So I worked with them till I was 18, till I could get a job. So then I joined Waterford Co-op in Dungarvan at that stage, and worked in the powder plant. So I gave about 10 years there, and I felt that wasn't for me either. So
Yeah.
then so then I moved out to country, out to a farmer's branch out in a place called Durrow. It was still part of the co-op at the time, and I worked there, and it was there that I got the insight into farming. I knew what they wanted, but I felt I learned a lot from people coming into you. Like often people might come into there during the day there and they might need nothing. They might come in, have the chat, and sit down there, and that was good enough too, because that's all part of my role as being a branch manager. And like, look, one time, like, I suppose the branch crop manager was kind of a big thing at that time, because people would come and they talk to you, and confidentially as well. And like, I always knew then, I got to know then as time went on there, you get into people's mind, and you'd know what they want and what they didn't want. And the person that came for the chat, he was welcome, and we'd out and talk to him as well. And I often give an hour talking to people there, and like, I do believe by they coming into me, talking to me, I do believe I was giving them a small bit of help as well, because at times I wasn't talking, they were talking, I was listening. And that's what being in rural area, that's what people want. They don't want people to talk up to them or talk down to them. They would like people to talk at them and listen to them. So I learned a lot from there. Then I got involved in my local GA club as well. I became treasurer of the club there, and I brought mental health and suicide into our club, because we had lost a few members of our club through suicide there. So first of all, what I did, I sponsored jerseys for our own club in Kilwassendy there, and that jersey is wearing mental health awareness. And as you can see, my own top tonight is showing that mental health and suicide awareness. So look, it's so important in rural parts that get people talking. Like, for years, people didn't talk and didn't want to talk, because look, mental health was a dirty word years ago, and like, people had been locked away for years. And when you get older in life, then you see the gaps in life there, and you know certain people, just because they were, maybe when they were young, maybe the eldest son always got the farm, and maybe the younger son maybe mightn't like that, and maybe he was shoved into a home at the time, and that did happen in rural Ireland. And look at, and like, mental health was covered up, and like, I believe that snowballed as time went on, and look at it became so big. And like when I got involved in mental health first in about 2004 or 5, people said to me I was mad. You walked in something that you don't know what it's all about. Keep away from it. You open a can of worms, and kick the can down the road. So I said, no, I want to talk. I want to bring this out, because my family have suffered from mental health issues down through the years there. And I have no problem in saying that, because look, it's the hardest place of all times to live is in a house with mental health issues, because you never know what you're doing, the right thing or doing the wrong thing. And no matter what you'll do, you'll be wrong anyway. And the person that is most closest to the person that is suffering, they're the people that really gets the killing of it. You know? And I have no problem talking about that. And like, I lost a brother to suicide as well. Like, and so that's where my big help, and what I want to help people. Like, my mother always said, Liam, don't let other mothers go through what I've been through when my brother James died from suicide.
Thank you, Liam. Thank you for an absolute insight to rural mental health and well-being, and back over the generations. It's very interesting to hear, and how it is kind of evolving as well. And for your honesty, Liam, it's just it's very touching. So, Catherine, you've worked in mental health and rehabilitation for over a decade. What do you feel makes SOS different or unique in how it supports communities?
It's our values, it's our people. Our values are genuineness, understanding, respect, and acceptance. And it's really meeting people where they're at, with no judgment. So when we go into a community to bring a workshop or a program into a community, just like what Liam was saying, we're not talking down to people or up to people. We're talking with people. We're working with people. Every program we deliver is in partnership with another organisation, partnering with somebody on the ground who knows what's needed in the community. Do you know? And then we'll come and do our thing. Do you know? But it's really, we've a very experienced panel of facilitators and contracted facilitators who, as much as they have the clinical experience, more importantly, they have the lived life experience and the living life experience, and it's what makes us stand out from other organizations, in my opinion, is that we're not afraid to share that, like Liam there, I mean, he's really told a great story there, and it comes from the heart, and we're the same. I think, to be an SOS, you have to have the heart, and to I suppose just to meet people where they're at, and make people look,
Yeah.
it's a serious enough topic. So make people comfortable, make people welcome. All our programs, as much as I say it's a heavy topic, when you go into a room, and Liam has been in many a room where, there's fruit on the tables and there's candles lighting and there's always a box of sweets will go around at the end of the workshop, and there's time to just stop, take time and meet other people in the community who are there for the same, for the same thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think with our programs as well, you realize that you're not in isolation, you're not, there's people are in the same boat. There's people experiencing mental health. You're not alone, do you know? And I think when we bring programs into community, people chat to each other and they understand that.
Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, and it's there was a couple of things in that stood out to us when we were looking to partner with a mental health organization, and that whole collaboration piece, the ease of, you really understood how to collaborate, and
Yeah,
it was clear that you're very well versed in working with multiple organizations, and that for us was it was really important that we would have that ease of delivery, and for our clients and the farmers and the
hmm
farming community, but also that whole that whole heart piece, and that you
yeah,
really do care, and that
yeah,
really did shine through. And actually you've got trainers who are experienced in the farming community, or farmers themselves, or
yes,
farming,
yes,
coming from farming families. So that was
yes,
another really, really crucial part for us as well, that it wasn't, people talking at farmers, it was farmers talking to
mm,
farmers, or farmer families
yes,
talking. And I think the other part of the programs that, from my understanding and our conversations, was this space that you give people, and you will give the farmers and the farming community to actually converse and chat. It's not
yes,
just all curriculum, but it's that time that they get to talk and share, their experiences, and like that. No, they're not on their own. So, yeah, I can definitely, that shone through in all of our conversations as well.
mm,
So, Liam, I'm just going to, that'll push us on nicely to the next question. We're just talking of isolation. Liam, farming life obviously comes with its own sets of pressures, and very unique sets of pressures as well. Maybe isolation being one of them. You talked about being that person, as a branch manager, listening and chatting with your customers for an hour. The long hours, unpredictable weather. Like, what do you
yeah,
see as the biggest mental health challenges that farmers are facing today?
Look, a farmer's life can be very lonely and very isolated because
Mm.
a lot of them, they live out on their own. A lot of them are bachelors, I suppose, down to the years. I suppose they wouldn't get married, or they could, maybe the mother wouldn't allow them get married because maybe the farm was going to be gone and split in half and all this thing. And a lot of them decided they'd live on their own and they wouldn't get married, unfortunately. And they end up kind of bachelors at this stage now. And look at their life is very lonely because they live out in the countryside, and like one time they'd meet the postman coming, or maybe the bread van coming, or whatever it is, and they might go to the pub in the night time for an old drink and have the chat there. And it wasn't for drink they would go, but it's like it
Yeah.
was an outlet and a little chat they wanted. Like a farmer's
Mm.
life can be very fulfilling, but a lot of stress comes with it as well. Like,
Yeah.
especially like it's weather dependent is the first thing. The weather can be too dry, or can be too wet. Like this summer has been very dry, the farm, and everybody, but it seemed it was a good year. But I suppose this would be classed as one of the better years. Then you have price. Everything's about the price, the
Yeah.
value, and now the red tape that's attached to farming as well. Because
Mm.
it's all about paperwork now. It's all about targets, and it's all about filling in this paperwork. And farmers didn't kind of find that very hard as well to do. And look,
Mm.
I think farmers themselves at the moment have got a lot of pressure on themselves as well now. They've doubled the herd size as far as
Yeah.
milking
Yeah.
cows is concerned, and that's bringing on extra work on them as well, and they don't see that because they're going into a rot at the moment, yeah, and they're working, and like it's not all about work. Like you have to end your day at some parts of the day. You
Yeah.
can't work 7 day a week. Some farmers would love if they were another day in the week. And they get that more that bit of work that they couldn't do today, they get done tomorrow. But like, there's no need for it, because look, if you're doing a good routine there, start in the morning at 6 o'clock, you can finish in that evening at 6 o'clock as well, and you can walk away. And some good farmers can do that. But the farmer that's got into more cows and more cows, and like that brings more hardship as well then, and it's more hard on them. Because look, I can see from where I worked in the crop, it's so hard. The farmer is very good to look after his stock. That's the one thing about him. He's the best man in the world to look after his stock, but he's not as good to look after himself. If there's a cow or an animal sick in the morning, the vet is called there and then. He don't care what it costs. It can cost €100 or €2 or €200. They don't care. But he won't be as freely to go to SOS, or he won't be as freely to go to the doctor for a bit of help. And like, that can bring very lonely things. They can be very lonely people there. Because I know it from where I worked. When they come into me, they were so lonely at times, isolated, low. And when they're going away, they'd be sure and they'd say to you, "Are you here tomorrow?" I say, "Yeah, no problem, coming for the shot, no problem in the world." And you'd always know the person that was lonely, or the feel isolation and loneliness. And I'm not saying you don't have to live up in the mountains to be isolated. You could be above in Dublin, in the middle of the city, and you could feel alone. You could feel alone and isolated there, because that's what mental health can do to you. Like, when you're just stressed and kind of semi-depressed, your mental health kicks in, and like, you're not able to handle your mental health. Like, if you have a broken tooth in the morning, it can be seen, or a broken leg, it can be seen, or a broken hand. But if you have a broken mind, you can't see it. And that's where it's so lonely for people, that when it can't be seen. And if I'd be urging people the whole time to go seek help. Help is there. Help mightn't be freely. Help mightn't be freely available for mental health issues, but it is there, and it can be got, and there is help out there. And I'm telling people the whole time, talk to someone, just get help. Because I know what it is, stand by a graveside and bury a loved one by suicide. It's the hardest and lonely place that anybody can ever be. Lonely place. Because as that coffin is being lowered to the grave, there's things crossing your mind. Why are you so naive? Why are you so stupid not to see this happening? It happened in front of all of our eyes. We were so naive, you couldn't see it. And I'm not alone in that. As we know, that 500 people every year take life by suicide. 500 people. And like, the figures might say different at times, but I'm telling you, and Catherine will tell you the same thing after I'm finished, 500 people per year take life by suicide. And that is scary. That's about 60 people per month.
Yeah.
About 20 people a week. As we're talking here today, me, Catherine, and you, and Marie, there's 3 people out there somewhere contemplating taking their life. And by tomorrow, there'll be 3 more. And that's the sad thing about suicide. We just can't do enough to help these poor people that are suffering in silence.
Thank you, Liam. You're very, very powerful with your words, and I'm getting an experience here and an education myself. Thank you. And Catherine, I suppose, just to follow on from what Liam is saying, and dead right, and those stats, they speak for themselves. And like, the likes of SOS are out there, to develop that capacity amongst the farming community and other helplines, etc., etc. What, in your experience, are some of the reasons, Catherine, that people might hesitate to reach out for support?
I think stigma is the biggest one. I really do. I've been reading up, because I'm from Dublin, and I'm not farmer focused. And so, but I will be. And I've been doing a lot of reading, and I was reading about the cultural norms, so that, that self-reliance. I'm okay here on my own. I'm not going to ask for help. Again, it's stigma around putting your hand out and saying, "Do you know what? I need a little bit of help here." And it was a report that was published last year, where 351 farmers were questioned, and 71% of those said that they would seek help, but 54% of them didn't know how to contact a mental health service. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's across the board, in fairness, but this was farmer focused. They also said that 24% of those 351 people didn't know about crisis helplines. They didn't know the numbers. You know, they didn't know about Pieta and the Samaritans and all the different amazing organisations that are out there that if you pick up the phone and just talk, you know. So, you know, I think that there's a lack of farmer focused services out there. Okay, Farmwell Hub is absolutely amazing. I've been really getting into it and looking at the videos and the webinars and everything, you know, and it's a real one-stop shop.
Mm.
But it's getting the word out there, isn't it? It's getting the word to the right people, you know, and hopefully, you know, please God, this video here will really speak to people, you know, and let them know that there are services out there, you know, there are helplines and there are therapists, you know, and you know, all our programs are they're fully funded, as in we receive some of our funding from the National Office for Suicide Prevention, and then we have fantastic people out there like Liam who's organising charitable events for us throughout the year, whether it's a cycle. We have a fantastic group of people doing the Dublin City Marathon. We have people abseiling off Croke Park in October, mini marathons, everything. But I do think, you know, there is that lack of farmer focused services at the minute. And please God, with the work that we're doing together in partnership, our supporters programs and our Minding Me programs and the work, the wellness program, that we're going to be chipping away at that year on year.
Yeah, and I suppose that's where the kind of Farmwell Hub was born, that we really, absolutely what you're saying, Catherine, is that, you know what, there's loads of amazing services out there and they really are.
Yeah.
But what we kind of felt was if you're a farmer in need, the last thing you want to do is start researching and trailing through all the information.
Yeah.
So, like I suppose the concept of phase one of Farmwell Hub was to try and get all these resources into one place, that it's, you know, you're a farmer, you know, this is a mental health and wellbeing platform where you can go and have a look and see where am I going to get my supports. And the really exciting thing is, that now we are able to move into phase two and offer these actual supports and offer these trainings,
Yes.
but also knowing that there are loads of supports out there like Pieta and Smartens, etc. And like they're all listed on our website with contact numbers and emails and all
Yeah.
the rest. And it is all there in one place. Um, I really think your point around having all those services is brilliant, but actually not knowing how to access them is really, really such a barrier. And I suppose that's another element of the Farmwell Hub project, is that we're really focusing on our awareness raising campaigns, and hence we are having these conversations. And it's about having conversations with our mental health partners, with the farmer, with, you know, Liam, who has all of this unbelievably lived experiences and has come through it and has come through programs and has talked to other farmers for years and years and really understand it. So like it's, you know, I think this type of conversation, having these conversations are just invaluable to the next steps, I suppose, in taking away the stigma and taking away that taboo. Yeah, so Catherine mentioned, Liam, your annual cycle for mental health. Tell us a little bit. I know it's becoming a bit of a tradition now, and so how has it? Tell us how it started. Tell us how it's going and how it's impacting the community and the wider services that you're supporting.
Yes, when you look at it, the cycle started, it's in the 11th year now, gone. And like it started out of nothing, because I just wanted to do something to show people out in the countryside that this cycle was for mental health, and people wear mental health on their jersey, and show people that there are no stigma, no shame. So I had been great friends. With SOS, as you know, and at the time, Carolyn McGuigan was the CEO at the time. So I rang up Carolyn, and Carolyn said to me, "Look, Liam, said no problem. Said you can use our insurance." So I said, "Grand." So I said, if I go and use your insurance, so we'll make it a fundraiser. But I said, it won't be meant as a fundraiser. I said, if it raises €100 or €200, I said, so be it. So grand.
Yeah.
So we got to go anyway. And look, I always want to get to do something bigger, so do something different for mental health. And I'm always thinking of what they can do to try and promote a positive mental health and
Yeah.
take away the negativity from it. And the first cycle that we had there, I think Catherine was down as well, with about
It
500
was.
people. With about 500 people, I think it was 550 people.
Mm.
We couldn't believe it. People came there with farmers came there. One farmer came there. We on playing Wellington and cycling on a bike and he didn't cycle bike for years. So from there on, it came look at the only thing about it. We have it on the wrong time of the year because it's Easter. It is never a good time of the year. But we always wanted a date that we could put on our calendar, like Easter
Yeah.
Sunday. People had that on their mind now, and it's drilled into them that this cycle on Easter
Brilliant. Yeah.
Sunday, and they keep coming. But I'd say we've raised that. I don't know, Catherine, how much have we raised? 150,000, I think
At
so
least. Yeah, at least.
far.
Unfortunately, I don't have the figures with me,
Yeah.
but it is massive. It's absolutely massive. And coming from that, we're
Mm.
able to bring more programs to the community.
Thank you, Liam. Sounds like a fabulous event. I may get that into my diary. And so, yeah, you may share the details with us now, and we'll be able to share it on our website and our social media channels. It sounds fabulous. Well done, Liam. It sounds like it's really after taking off and obviously very, very impactful for the likes of SOS and fundraising as well. And not just that, the opening the
Mm.
conversation and talking about it. I love your drive and your passion just to keep talking about mental health and taking away the taboos. So, just I suppose we're coming to the end here now, Catherine. Like I said, we have partnered up together to bring about this farmer specific services around mental health. And we're going to be rolling out a couple of programs. I know Liam has
Hmm.
sat on a couple of them, he's been involved in them. Would you mind giving us a very quick overview of some of the stuff that if you were someone looking on, wondering what would I be doing on those programs that
Yeah,
we're talking
yeah,
about,
yeah.
please? Yeah.
I'll start, and I know I'm going to be brief because I could talk all day I could talk for
Yeah.
Ireland about our program, so I will try and be brief. But I will start with our flagship program, which is our Eden program, which is 20 years, over 20 years running now in operation. And the Eden program is a 26-week program specifically for people who are thinking of suicide, or have acted upon suicide, have self-harmed, etc. Um, and it covers the whole person. It's a very holistic, as in, it's suicide focused, but we would look at maybe healthy eating and relationships and resilience and changing your thinking. There's lots of different topics in it. But coming from the Eden program, when it was evaluated, I think it was by UCD or Trinity was one of them. Um, People were saying, this is a fantastic program for me. For you know, I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm working on my own recovery now. But the people that love me, the people that surround me, are on their knees. They don't know what to say, they don't know what to do. They're tiptoeing around me, so maybe they don't say anything at all. You know,
Mm.
because they're afraid they'll say the wrong thing. I think Liam had spoken about this a little bit earlier. But so we wrote a program called a supporters program, and it was specifically for people who were supporting a loved one. Um, and it's a lovely program. It's an 8-hour program that we can do in person or online. But it's broken both up into three parts. And the first part, which I feel is really, really important, is the self-care part. Because when you're supporting somebody else, you don't have time to be looking after yourself, but sure, how can you support somebody if you're not well in yourself? It's a little bit like the aeroplane where the mask comes down and there's, please God, it never does, but if the mask comes down and it's like, put your own mask on before you put your child's mask on. So you're looking after yourself before you can look after somebody else. So that self-care piece is really, really important. And then we go into there's topics around maybe empowerment, empowering a person. So not jumping in and saving them per se, but giving that person that space, to go through their own recovery process with the support of the supporter. Do you know? There is parts around listening, just being able to be with a person, while they're struggling. and not to have to worry about what am I saying the right thing, because getting those skills and the tools to be able to be around a person, to be able to talk confidently to a person, to support them. And the final part of that program is a piece around what supports and signpostings is out there.
Yeah.
So what services are out there? Because again, like I was going back to earlier on, a lot of people don't know what services are there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's our supporters program. And we have a lovely program as well called the Minding Me program, which is, I suppose it does what it says on the tin. It's an 8-hour program in person or online. And that is this is for the individual. So for people who may or may not be struggling with their mental health, I think this program is really open to anybody over 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I suppose it's learning the tools of awareness of around your own mental health. So
Mm.
being able to check in with yourself at any given time in the day and saying,
Yeah.
where am I at today? How am I today? What do I need to do to maybe, you know, lift myself up a little bit,
Mm.
or if I'm in a great space at the minute, what do I need to do to keep myself there?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's based around the recovery principles CHIME, which now hopefully I don't get this wrong. It's it's connection, hope, identity, meaning, and what is the last one? Empowerment. We have our wellness workshop, which to me is like the other end of the spectrum of the Eden program. The wellness workshop to me is an introduction to mental health. We all have mental health, whether it's good or bad. Everybody has
Yeah.
mental health,
Yeah.
and it's everybody's job to look after their own mental health. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so the
Mm-hmm.
wellness workshop introduces you to the tips, the tools, and the techniques to look after your mental health on a
Yeah.
daily basis. So that
Brilliant.
would be our four main programs.
Yeah.
And then on our website, we have online programs like an online wellness workshop for
Yeah.
people that may not access that in person. And there's lots of resources like, meditation videos and yoga and lots of things on the website. And again, all free to access.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a really brilliant resource. We have it linked into the Farmwell Hub website as well.
brilliant. Brilliant.
So you can access it either on just directly through SOS, or you can there's a link on our website as well from Farmwell Hub. Brilliant, and very excitingly, we will be offering some of those programs. Final word for Liam. What message would you share directly with farmers who are finding life tough at the moment?
Seek help. Help is out there. Go to your
Perfect.
GP. Go to your GP, because
Yeah.
suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And don't be that one standing at a grave saying, why didn't I? Because help is there. You must seek it. And like, if you feel someone, yourself or your neighbor or your friend or some of your family, that is feeling down, go and tell them, get help. They, they know, they don't know themselves.
Yeah.
They find it very hard to admit it, but you know they have a problem. Don't you be the one standing at the grave when he's been buried from suicide. Suicide is not the answer.
Thank you, Liam. Thank you very much. And thank you to you both for your time, sharing your stories, being so honest, your experience, and obviously both very well educated in the area as well. Thank you, thank you. It's invaluable to share these messages. And if you're listening and you do want to get involved, we'll have registration links for upcoming programs, and they'll be available soon. Keep an eye out on our social media channels and on the Farmwell Hub website for updates. Also, don't forget the Farmwell Hub website is www.farmwellhub.ie. And if anything has resonated or has kind of given you some thought today, the website is packed with supports and links to all those organisations that we spoke about in terms of giving support. And there's lots of toolkits and resources and directories for all your mental health and wellbeing needs. And I would urge anyone is also to go to the SOS website. It's excellent. They have a lot of free resources as well. So we look forward to partnering with SOS in the coming months. We will have registration links, so keep an eye out on our channels for those. And then just a final word, this is all about community conversation, making sure no farmer feels alone. As Liam says, get help.